Hello and welcome to Survive the Apocalypse with me, Survival Steve. And what I've got today is to present first line of equipment skills that a combat infantry soldier would typically carry on his person. So first line of equipment skills consists of equipment carried in something like a combat jacket or camouflage smock such as this one. Second line of equipment skills would consist of an equipment belt or weapon, which would usually comprise of ammunition, a radio, water and food, perhaps some medical equipment. And the third skill would be the heavier items or the rucksack or bergen, which would carry sleeping equipment, cooking equipment and extra food or ammunition. So the jacket I'm wearing, this is what I'm going to present today. The jacket I'm wearing is the first line of equipment skills. So this jacket is obviously camouflage material. It's also infrared reflective, lightweight and windproof. This jacket is not waterproof, but it will shed some light rain and will dry relatively quickly. It consists of a hood and several pockets. In fact, this jacket's actually got 10 pockets, so I can spread the load and distribute the items of equipment, and it's designed to withstand the rigours of combat. So behind me we've got some similar jackets that we can consider in a civilian setting. So the first up is this one, this black jacket. This is Fjällräven, which is a Scandinavian firm. It's made of G1000 fabric, which is a polycotton material, and this can be also treated with wax to give it a waterproof coating. It's quick drying and breathable, and that's quite important. So if you're carrying or load or undertaking arduous tasks, you want something to be breathable, hence the fact I haven't got any fully waterproof jackets here. So this jacket is the Fjällräven. Moving on, this is just a high street brand of a polycotton jacket, but it is olive green, so it helps to provide a little bit of camouflage qualities if you're out in nature. It's got several pockets, windproof, it also has a hood and relatively lightweight. So this is a great item for a civilian setting, for example. It'll help us blend in with nature. The next jacket, we're looking at this one here. This is a waxed cotton jacket, similar to a barber jacket or barber style, and it's often used by outdoor people. Certainly in the British countryside these will be certainly seen and recognisable. So plenty of big pockets. It's waterproof because it's fully waxed, so this will shed rain, and it's relatively lightweight, and obviously it'll withstand some of the rigours of outdoor activities in the British countryside. So this jacket in particular, this is an Arcticus jacket. This is the old style DPM, disruptive pattern material. 10 pockets, a hood, button, weather flap with a zip. It's got 2 large button down pockets at the chest and 2 large spacious pockets fastened with a zip also at the chest. It's got a drawstring waist, and it's also got 2 large hip pockets. Now, as well as an arm pocket which would typically put something like a pen torch or writing material, we've also got internal pockets. But that's the jacket itself. Again, we can cross-fertilise some of the skills or understanding of how useful a jacket can be for holding survival kit or key items. What we're going to do next is have a look at the contents, so let's get into it. So what we've got next is a brief look at some of the key items of survival, the everyday items carried in the first line equipment skills. This is helpful to see how this equipment's broken down and where it's configured. So we're going to start off first and foremost with this item. This is a headscarf, a sniper veil, or often known as a shamag. Moving down, we've got one of the key survival priorities covered here by means of food. So just some small items to provide some calories. Next up is a compass. Now this compass is attached to the jacket pocket by means of a lanyard, and in the zipped pocket what we've got is a notebook with pens and pencils. On the opposite side, a Nyrex folder. This is basically just a plastic folder to protect vital information, or as in terms of an aid memoir. We have a camouflage compact cam cream, and it also has a signal and mirror. Next to that we have a head torch, a small map reading torch, and a whistle. So the whistle and the small torch are fastened to the jacket by means of a lanyard. Moving down, we've got a survival kit in a tin. So this can be used should you find yourself in a situation without access to your webbing or bergen equipment. And besides that, a pouch containing a multitude of smaller items which we'll get into shortly. The next pocket, hat and gloves, and we also have an arm pocket, so a pen and pencil, silooms or light sticks, and we also have a spoon. Now there is 10 pockets on this jacket, 2 of which we haven't looked at yet, so we'll do that now. So poacher's pockets, if we open up this jacket, we have poacher's pockets. Now the poacher's pockets are round the back on the inside. Now these are large pockets, and as you might be able to tell, what I've got here is a waterproof poncho and an item of clothing. This is just a small mid-layer, a fleece jersey or jumper, which is just right for fitting in there. So moving aside to the trousers, the combat trousers would typically have a large thigh pocket, which is perfect for carrying a map. This map is in a waterproof pouch, folded up, fits in that pocket. Definitely recommend a lanyard so you don't lose your map. So at night or in windy conditions, you're not going to drop it and lose it. On the opposite side would be first aid items. So first aid equipment is basic. What we've got here is a survival bag. We have a cat tourniquet and a major trauma dressing. The soldier would always carry a watch or wear a watch. Have a cotton, what's known as a military cravat, which is a cotton handkerchief for a multitude of different uses. And we also have a pocket knife. This is a folding pocket tool, a multi-tool or Leatherman, which is carried in a pouch and would be fastened to the waist belt, or alternatively it could just be tied to a pocket and carried in the pocket, attached to a piece of string. So that's a brief look at some of the contents. What we're going to do is break this down further, see if we can pick out anything useful for our needs as prepared citizens. So stand by. So we've had a brief look at the contents of the first line equipment scales and where it is configured about the person. So what we're going to do next is have a better look at the contents and pick out any top tips that might be useful to us. So we'll start off by looking at this item, which is a poncho. A poncho can be worn as a waterproof jacket, but it can also be used as a shelter and, if required, a stretcher. The mid layer speaks for itself, as does the hat and gloves, but we'll notice that these are in green or camouflage material to help us blend in with nature. So one key aspect is navigation. So we've got a map, a compass, a small map reading torch and Ranger pace beads. We also have a watch, and a watch is useful for measuring elapsed time to help with navigation. Now if I have a look at the compass I carry in a foam protective case, which is lightweight and enough to protect the contents. So the compass itself, this is a silver Mark IV, and it's graduated in mils and degrees, and it has luminous features to help navigate at night. Speaking of night time, this small torch is bright enough just to be able to read the map, but not too bright to give away your position. It also helps to preserve night vision. Ranger pace beads, each bead would equate to 100 meters of distance, so you can keep a measure of the distance that you've been walking. Now the map itself, this is A3 size in a waterproof map case known as an Autolieb. I'm sure there's other brands out there. Inside I carry an aid memoir to help me navigate, and I also have, as you can see there, this green strip. This is reflective, so it's just another little feature that you can use to attract attention to signal at night if required. So the map itself is protected by the waterproof map case, but the map case itself is retained by the use of an elastic strap, just to help keep that neat and tidy when it's carried in my pocket. The notebook, this is waterproof notepaper. As I do with many things, on the outside of surfaces I will attach sticky tape, bodge tape, cloth tape, 100-mile-an-hour tape to help with field repairs. Now this map case, this notebook case, which also contains pencils and pens, is waterproof, and it has a dull finish to one side but a bright finish to the other, so this can be used again for attracting attention if required. Now I have pens and pencils. This is a wax crayon which can be used on a multitude of surfaces, along with a mechanical pencil, so I don't have to sharpen a pencil in the field. OHP pens are useful for writing on plastic, and speaking of which, in the front here, this is a piece of plastic which I've just salvaged from an old 5-litre container which has been roughened on one surface with wire wool, and that provides a good writing surface for pencil or OHP pens, again for taking rough notes in wet weather. Moving down, what we've got here is the cam cream. The cam cream comes with a mirror which can be used to signal attention, especially in sunlight, to a helicopter or a rescue team. This is the Nyrex folder or aid memoir, so it's just basically a plastic folder with plastic inserts, but this could be helpful to any survivor for putting information such as what we've got here, ground to air code or radio codes or other useful information that might help us in a survival situation. There's the multi-tool, which has a variety of blades and features and converts into pliers. Pen and pencil, well, this isn't just any old pencil, this is a rubber pencil and it's unbreakable, so useful feature. Right next to that we've got Siloon sticks. One is infrared, the other one is bright yellow, and these can be attached to a piece of string, as I've done here. The string can be spun around in a circular motion in what's known as a buzzsaw configuration, and at night time these light sticks spun around the head are very visible from a distance. Spoon, I tend to recommend metal spoons simply because they're unbreakable, and also I sharpen one end. So this sharpened end can be used in defensive purposes, or it can just be used simply for helping open packets and containers that your food comes in. This is a survival kit in a tin, and we'll see on one side we've got bright yellow tape to help signal and identify, and on the other side we've got another couple of patches of sticky tape for conducting field repairs. Food items, we haven't got a great deal of food carried in the pockets again, but it's a useful on the go treat to help provide extra calories on the move. A head torch has got red light and also flashing light function, so the red light is useful for preserving night vision and also for manoeuvring or conducting tasks without giving your position away with a bright white light. So a useful feature. Audible warning device, the whistle. Now moving on, we've covered the first aid items, so we had the field dressing, the cat tourniquet and the survival bag. So the survival bag or emergency bag, this is one of the tin foil type blankets, reflective blankets on one side, but on the other side we've got a green, olive green finish. So again we can either have camouflaged or concealed in nature, or we can have the bright reflective finish for signalling for attention. Okay, that moves us on to the pouch, which we discussed earlier. So the pouch, the contents of the pouch contain water purification tablets and matches. These are lifeboat matches, so they're windproof and waterproof, and as you can see they're kept in waterproof containers to protect them from the elements. We have a small wallet with money or currency, preferably small denominations, so you can purchase items from a shop or use a telephone, for example. A hank of paracord. This is about 10 foot of cord, which is useful for a variety of different purposes, such as conducting repairs in the field or building shelters. Earplugs, these are just the disposable type earplugs which are useful for soldiering or anybody who uses firearms. So for hunting, for example, anybody exposed to noise, you need to look after your hearing, so it's helpful to have this, what would be a secondary pair kept in a pouch or a pocket. Lip balm. So lip balm can protect your lips from cold, wet conditions, but also intensive sunlight. The wax inside, petroleum jelly based, can also be used to help with fire lighting. So petroleum jelly with cotton wool or tissue can be ignited and can help get that fire going. Speaking of fires, we've also got a secondary means of fire lighting by means of a standard gas lighter. You'll also notice that the gas lighter's got sticky tape wrapped around it, again for conducting field repairs or a variety of different purposes. We've also got a couple of spare batteries immediately to hand in the pouch, and the batteries of course are used for torches, night vision goggles, GPS systems or radios. And next to it a pack of tissues for field hygiene or toileting purposes. But that's a little bit of a better look at some of the contents in more detail. So this is the first line of equipment scales that's carried by a typical combat soldier. Hopefully there's some transferable items there or ideas that can serve our purposes as resilient survivors. So thanks for tuning in, and catch you another time.